When she said those words, I felt something inside me freeze. We were arguing about something small, something forgettable. And out of nowhere she threw the line like a knife. At least my ex-boyfriend was bigger. She looked straight at me, waiting for a reaction, almost proud of the damage she expected to cause. For a moment, I couldn't even breathe. It wasn't the insult that hurt the most, it was the intention. I stepped back and stared at her, trying to decide whether it was worth fighting over. But then something inside me just snapped. I wasn't going to let her humiliate me in my own home. I wasn't going to let someone who claimed to love me weaponize insecurity like that. She kept talking, trying to push me further, but I stayed silent long enough for her confidence to shake. Finally, I took a slow breath and said the calmest words I've ever spoken. If he was so much better, then maybe you should have stayed with him. I deserve someone who respects me, not someone who compares me to her ex anytime she wants to hurt me. She blinked fast, suddenly unsure, like she hadn't expected maturity to sting more than anger. Her face softened, then crumpled. She moved closer, reaching out as if to take back what she said, but I stepped away. That simple step made her eyes fill with tears. She started apologizing, saying she didn't mean it, that she was just angry, that she wanted to win the argument. The words poured out, but I had already reached a point of no return. One comment could be forgiven. Intentionally using an ex to belittle me couldn't. Then I told her the part that made her break down completely. I'm done trying to prove my worth to someone who keeps me as a backup option. I know you've been texting him again. Her lips parted, and the color drained from her face. She didn't even try to deny it. The truth sat between us like a pile of broken promises. I had found the messages 2 nights earlier, nothing explicit, but emotional enough to betray me. Laughing at jokes she never shared with me. Sending late-night thoughts to him while I slept beside her. She thought deleting half the conversation would hide the rest. It didn't. And now, standing in front of me, she knew I had seen everything. She collapsed onto the couch, crying hard, saying she only messaged him because she felt insecure, because she wanted attention, because she thought she might lose me someday. The irony nearly made me laugh. She feared losing me. So she went running to the one person who had already hurt her the most. It didn't make sense, but cheating rarely does. I told her I cared about her deeply, but I wasn't going to stay in a relationship where I had to compete with her past. I wasn't going to beg for loyalty or fight ghosts she kept alive. She begged me to stay, gripping my hand so tightly her fingers trembled. But there was something in her eyes, a fear that came only when consequences arrived. I packed a small bag while she cried behind me, repeating apologies, promises, everything she thought could make me stay. But the trust was already gone, and once it's gone, love becomes a painful memory instead of a home. When I closed the suitcase, she let out a sound like she was breaking. At the door, she asked, "Is this really it?" I turned back one last time and said, "It had to be. Not because of what you said, but because you meant it when you said it." Her face collapsed completely, and tears streamed down her cheeks. She realized I wasn't leaving out of anger. I was leaving because I finally valued myself. I walked out, feeling strangely calm. The air outside felt sharper, cleaner, like I had finally stepped out of a room with no oxygen. As I reached my car, my phone buzzed. It was a message from her, long and desperate, but I didn't read it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. That night, I slept alone for the first time in years. But instead of loneliness, I felt something different, relief. Sometimes heartbreak doesn't come from losing someone. Sometimes it comes from realizing you stayed with the wrong person for too long. And sometimes, the most powerful, revenge isn't hurting them back, it's walking away and letting them face the weight of their own choices.